guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be telling you some stories from working at Dairy Queen. I worked at Dairy Queen for about a year and a half and I was part-time for most of it. I would work full-time in the summer and then once I graduated I was trying to go to full-time, but winters there are pretty slow. Every single time I start filming, I swear Buzz just decides it's like the perfect time to terrorize Belle. Bubba, she's trying to sleep. Anyways, so I got hired at Dairy Queen. I was actually hired on the spot. They didn't even, like, they did an interview, but she was like, did you see your schedule? Like, do you know when your next shifts are? I emailed them to you. So they did the interview, but I had already gotten the job. I'm pretty sure the main reason is because one of my mom's good friends worked there. Hey, are you looking at yourself? Yeah, so I got hired on the spot pretty much. And I also lived very, very close to Dairy Queen. Like maybe 2-minute walk if you have to wait for someone to let you cross. So that was good. It was convenient, super duper close. So on my first day, it was very overwhelming because you're trying to learn like everything so fast. And I was a mess and I had a mental breakdown on my very first day. It was pretty embarrassing. Yeah, that was fun. Don't do that. Just chill. You're not going to be perfect on your first day. And I think I had that expectation. And they were like showing me how to make the sundaes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so easy. I'll be great. Tried to make a sundae. It was awful. Kept trying to make sundaes. They were all terrible. And I have tremors, so my hands shake. Can't really see it much right now. But it gets worse when I'm nervous. And I was very nervous. So all my sundaes just looked like crap. And I was like, oh no, they're gonna waste all this ice cream. But they didn't. They just used it to make cakes, so it was fine. But it's pretty embarrassing. And my whole family came and they were like, oh my gosh, Sierra, you're making ice cream soup. Because I messed up so many times. It was honestly humiliating. Like, I don't think they've probably had a worse first day experience than mine. Yeah, but despite that, I got pretty good towards like my second or third week. I was doing a lot better. Didn't, have any more mental breakdowns. But also within my first couple weeks, it was my first job where I had to wear a headset. And now wearing a headset, it's like literally second nature to me. Like, I know my headsets inside, outside, and backwards, but back then I was like, what the heck is this thing? Like, I have to talk into it? And I got confused with the buttons, and this guy was trying to decide what blizzard he wanted, and my coworker didn't have a headset on, so she was trying to ask me what he wanted so she could make it, and I went to press a button to turn it off so that I could tell her that he couldn't decide. But my headset was already off, so I pressed it to turn on, and I said, oh my gosh, this guy just can't make up his mind. And he was not happy, which, understandable. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, all right, this is it. This is where I get fired. My, job here is ending. It's over. But, yeah, luckily my manager just kind of laughed it off, and he was like, just be a little bit more careful when you press the buttons. But yeah, the dude was not happy. Yeah, just be careful when pressing buttons and don't say bad things about the customers when you're not comfortable with the buttons yet. That's all I have to say. Yeah, so I worked up front at Dairy Queen, and so it's very stressful, and especially in the summertime, like, it was crazy busy. Like, we had lots of orders, and one popular Dairy Queen item is dipped cones. And with dipped cones, it's actually very hard to do. I didn't think it was that hard, but when you dip the cone, you have to be very precise. You gotta make sure you go Like, you don't want to go slow. Like, you gotta be fast, pull it out, and then done. So sometimes I would hold it there because I didn't want to have cone dip go everywhere. And one particular time, I've had a couple cones fall in the cone dip, but this time it fell into the cone dip like completely, and it covered me in cone dip. And we had like these special shirts to support Miracle Treat Day, and they were light blue. And so light blue plus the chocolate cone dip, it was stained. It was terrible, but they were like, you still have to wear the shirt because it was to promote Miracle Treat Day. And my family, we tried everything to get that stain out, but it was stained. There was nothing we could do about it. And yeah, it looked bad. That's all I have to say. So when you're working in fast food, you meet a lot of interesting people, whether it's coworkers or customers. And you also learn that people pay in very weird ways. Like, some people will try to split a bill between 6 different credit cards, and you're like, why are you so broke that you're trying to pay with 6 different credit cards? Please stop spending your money on ice cream. Go pay off your debt. That's all I'm gonna say. So this lady, she was in our drive-thru, and she just passed me a little like Ziploc baggie, and she said, this is $10. And I looked at her like it was a joke, and she looked at me like, why aren't you taking my money? And so then I realized it was not a joke, and I was going to accept that as her payment. So I grabbed the $10 from her. Her order was like $11, so she also gave me a loonie. And it wasn't like change, like, oh, I guess Americans don't know about loonies and toonies. Loonies are basically $1 coins, and toonies are $2 coins. So if it was like some loonies and toonies, I honestly wouldn't have cared. Like, I've had people pay for $30 orders with loonies and toonies. But it was like nickels, dimes, and there were maybe a few quarters. And I just stared at this woman in pure, utter shock that she just tried to pay me with a bag of coins. And I was like, what are you doing, ma'am? And I literally just took the bag, I separated all the coins, and I put them in the cash register. And I hoped that she wasn't trying to scam me, and I went my good way because my coworker had already handed out the order. So even if she didn't have enough money, it wouldn't have mattered. So I was like, all right, I'm not counting this anymore. So I put it in the till, went on with my day. I don't know if our till was short or not that day. If it was probably only short by like $1 or $2 because she had a decent amount of change in there. I feel like it was enough to be $10. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of another story. So at Dairy Queen we made cakes, and I started to learn how to make cakes mainly because we had one of our freezers break, and it was our main freezer that held all the cakes, and they all melted and they fell on the ground. So everyone was like making cakes the next day. I think they called in like 2 extra people just to help like make treats like Buster Bars and DQ sandwiches and cakes especially. So I learned how to make cakes that day so I could help replenish our stockpile, because we had literally lost almost $300 worth of cakes. And that wasn't at the selling price. That was at like what we make off of the cake price, because the selling price and what you actually make, 2 different things, because you got to take into account employees and like supplies and everything. So yeah, that was just at the selling price, or not the selling price, at the bare minimum. This is what it takes for basically the ingredients to make this cake. So we lost $300. And there was one cake, and it was actually for a coworker of mine. She had a peanut allergy, which I'm just gonna say this now. I don't think this is how all Dairy Queens would handle this. I just think this is how mine would. Maybe some others, but not all. And yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go clean this cake ring and then make sure that you don't use it because it's for an allergy cake, because we would make cakes with like Reese's Pieces, and like you can never guarantee that like the cake ring is not contaminated with peanuts, because the main way we clean them is we just wipe them down really quickly. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go deep clean this. And they were like, no, don't do that. Just like make the cake. It's totally fine. And I just looked at them and I was like, no, it's not. Like, do you want to kill this girl? Like, no, I'm gonna clean this. And I was just so in shock that they were gonna let me make the cake in a not cleaned and sanitized ring. So I basically disobeyed them, and rightfully so. And I cleaned the cake ring, and my coworker didn't die, so I feel better about that because I feel pretty crappy if someone died over it. Sorry, I thought I saw something. So this next story, good one. So I believe I was like 6 months through working at Dairy Queen. Sounds about right. No, it was longer than that actually. It was like almost a year. Whatever. I had worked there for like a decent amount of time. And it was a really busy night, and it was like in October. And typically in like October for Dairy Queen, it's not that busy because people don't want to eat freezing cold ice cream, at least in Canada when it's freezing cold. So it was like a pretty meh time, but that day we just got hit. And we got hit hard, and we were waiting on product like all the time, like from kitchen, because like front makes their own ice cream, like takes orders, takes payment, like you do all that. So typically you have like 3 people in front, or 3 people on front, 3 people on drive-through, and then 2 people in kitchen when it's a busy day. And I believe we had 2 people in kitchen, 2 up front, and 2 on drive. So we were understaffed, but that wasn't even the issue. The issue was we had like a dual, like a 2 vat fryer, and you can put 2 baskets into each vat. And one of our vats had already broken, and we knew that. So we were just running off of 1 vat, which anytime anyone orders onion rings, you gotta put down an order of onion rings, and then anytime anyone orders chicken strips, you gotta put down chicken strips. So I don't know what was going on. They should have cooked things in higher quantities, but it was a mess that day. And then all of a sudden I hear everyone like freaking out. So the fryer has started a fire. I just want to point that out. And it was a mess. And no one knew what the heck to do, because apparently the managers had a manager meeting about fire safety and no one paid attention in that meeting. So no one knew what to do. And we were all like running around like chickens with our heads cut off. I was just trying to run drive-thru. I was like, I'm not a manager. I don't need to deal with this. Good luck. Luckily, there was a firefighter just eating and dining, and I guess he heard the commotion. And he was like, I'm a firefighter, like, let me help you. He put out the fire, he fixed everything, it was good. And I felt so bad for this guy, because he was sitting at our window for 17 minutes. And that's just at the window. Like, he was in our drive-thru for probably like half an hour. He ordered 1 burger. And we actually have a pretty decent like escape route. Like, there are some drive-thrus where it's like you're in a fence and like your order is taking forever. Sucks to be you. But yeah, he could have escaped, but he didn't. And I had to go up to him and I had to be like, I'm really sorry. So like our fryer, it caught on fire, and so we had to like put that out, and then we got all of the burgers and everything contaminated. So we're just like setting up the kitchen and making sure that we have product ready. I'm so sorry. And like the dude was just not having it. Like, he probably thought I was just like making up some ridiculous excuse to explain why we sucked so bad. But I really wasn't. Like, I was just like, dude, I don't know what the heck happened. Our fryer like exploded. And anyway, so the rest of the night we didn't have a fryer. And then I went into work the next day, we still didn't have a fryer. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, Sierra, like, you were there, what happened? And I was like, guys, I don't even know. And so we didn't have a fryer, and we were trying to like come up with ways, because like, if you don't have a fryer, you can't cook fries, you can't cook onion rings, you can't cook chicken strips. So like, we pretty much couldn't give anyone like combos. Like, we substituted fries and rings for like pretzel sticks and potato skins, but everyone was kind of like, what? Yeah, so we were like, is there another way that we could like cook things that would work? And so a funny story. So we took a chicken strip, and at Dairy Queen they cook everything on a chain broiler, like for the patties, sorry, not everything. But they cook the meat patties in a chain broiler. And we were like, oh, let's just stick a chicken strip in the chain broiler, like it'll be fine. It catches on fire, and of course I'm like, oh great, another fire. Now this horrible idea is gonna cause the whole restaurant to burn down. Luckily it didn't, it just came through the end of the broiler and it was burned to crap. There was no way anyone would even allow that to be served, and even if somehow it was served, no one would eat that thing. It was like black, like pitch black. And we also had this little oven that we had to like heat up our like cookies and brownies. And it was just made to like heat things up, like it wasn't meant to cook anything from like raw to cooked. So we tried to put a chicken strip in there. We cooked it like 6 times. That also shockingly did not work. We also didn't feed it to anyone because we were pretty certain it was raw. And yes, that was fun. And we did end up getting a fryer. However, it only had 1 vat. And it was a night that we weren't supposed to be busy. And one of our cooks called in sick. And so we covered them with a front person. And we just had one of our managers work in the kitchen because they were cross-trained. And that night, it was busy. Like, everyone lost their mind. No one knew what to do. People were waiting on orders for like 25 minutes. It was insane because the one cook person went on break and they went like out to eat somewhere. I don't know where, but they went out of the restaurant. And so it was just my manager in kitchen, and like I was trying to help her, but I had no idea what I was doing. This other girl who had like kitchen experience at another place was trying to help her, but like she had no idea what she was doing. And we also only had 1 fryer vat, so like we couldn't cook that many things at a time. It was just a mess. And everyone was really mad, and I acted irresponsible. I got mad at my manager because she was like, why are you just standing there? Why aren't you helping? And I'm like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to do kitchen. Or like something like that. I don't actually remember what I said, but I got mad at her. And then I got in trouble the next day for getting mad at her, and I was like, well, I'm sorry. When there's like 60 customers screaming, yelling at me because I don't know what I'm doing, when in reality, kitchen is just taking forever, because I guess they thought like I just didn't know how to bag orders or anything, which was not true. You can't really bag if there's nothing to bag. And yeah, so that was just terrible. And then I got in trouble, so that was good. And yeah, I have a lot more stories from Dairy Queen, so I'll probably do a part 2, but that's all for today. So thanks for watching. Bye!